Alright, so this video is just 50 minutes long, and in that short time you'll learn how to build your own React TypeScript library, and you are going to learn things like how to choose perfect TypeScript settings, how to build two separate compilation, ECMAScript and CommonJs, how to add tests to your project, and how to test your module locally so that we can ensure everything works fine. And in the end of this video we are going to publish our package to npm so that anyone can download our package. Alright, so let's start with very first step. Let's start with introduction to npm, then everything will follow along. The reason I'm starting with the introduction to npm packages is very simple. I don't want you to get confused with different tools like npm or NVM. Also, I want to explain like what does it mean for a code base or repository to be called an NPM package. Also, I want to talk about bit of semantic versioning. Okay, so let's get things going. So NPM stands for Node Package Manager. We all know that. NPM is itself written in JavaScript. What does that mean is if it is written in JavaScript, that means we can execute this program in any environment that supports JavaScript. For example, browsers, or let's say we have this Node JS environment. Okay, so and you might have seen command like npm install, then name of the package, and commands like npm publish. As we can understand from these two commands, here we are downloading something, here we are publishing something. So we are downloading a package from this website npmjs.com in first command, and in second command we are publishing a particular package to this website. Obviously there are a lot of things that goes in background, so we are not talking about that right now. Okay, so npm is used to manage, publish, or download packages from this website. npm, as you can see, this is the repository and it is written in JavaScript. Alright, so we can also see if you want to contribute to this package, you can do that. You can see there is a GitHub repository about npm, and as you can see, last commit was made 14 hours ago. In previous video I talked about conventional commit message. So in previous video I talked about like what we can understand from a particular commit message if it is a conventional commit message. Right now, as you can see here, this type chore is used. That means there are some changes made to non-software code. Maybe that code is a package.jsn file, or it is some sort of configuration file. As you can see, there are some changes made to commitlint.js file, which is not part of software code. Alright, so that's not the point of this video. Now let's talk about NVM. NVM stands for a Node Version Manager, if I'm not wrong. And in this page, if I scroll down a bit, you'll see one line. If you are looking to manage multiple versions of Node.js or NPM, consider using Node version control, consider using NVM. So with the help of NVM, I can switch from one environment to another environment. For example, if I open a command prompt and if I run it as administrator, the reason I'm running it as administrator is that I want to access a few program in my machine. Okay, so let's see the current version of NVM. Maybe there is an update. Okay, so I'm using this version, and let's see a list of all the Node.js packages. So for that I can use this command npm followed by ls. Ls means list of all the packages. As you can see, currently I'm using this older version, and obviously I can switch to any version I want. So in this website, as you can see, this is the latest version. Okay, so I can switch to latest version of Node.js. For that I can use this command nvm use, then name of the version, let's say 22.7.0. Right now I'm using this version, and I can verify this with this command nvm current. As you can see, is not installed yet. Okay, so there is some confusion. First we need to install this version nvm install 22.7.0. As you can see, I'm downloading. It is showing that extracting Node and npm, and it was written here that it is used to manage Node.js and npm. I hope it is installed now. So let's switch to that version. nvm use version 22.7.0, which is current version. Alright, now I'm using this version. Now let's verify it. I hope this time it shows the right version. There you go. Okay, so we can see list of all the version like that. So NVM is used to manage Node.js and NPM. Alright, so we talked about NPM, we talked about NVM. Now I want to talk about one more thing in this segment, which is semantic versioning. So semantic versioning, so whenever you have a NPM package, you have this file called package.jsn, which shows the current version of the package. For example, the current version of this npm package is 10.8.2, and you can also see that in the package.jsn file. In package.jsn file, the current version is 10.8.2, and let's say npm is switched from 10.8.2 to, let's say, 11.8.2. Now what does it mean? There are some changes made to this first digit. Now based on the change made to a particular digit, for example, you have 3 digits in this format, x.x.x. If there are some changes made to first digit, that means this is a major change. Okay, if I'm using this version and if I want to switch to this version, then I need to make some changes to my code, because this is a whole new version, this is a major change, and it might, you know, break my own code. So first digit represent major change, and second digit represent minor change. So let's say if you added new functionality, new feature, in that case we can change this digit. Let's say it is changed from 11.9, let's say it is changed to 11.9.2. in that case, if I, let's say, switch from this version to this version in my code, it is not going to break my code, but it is going to add some more functionality. And there is one more changes. If I made change to last digit, so last digit change is called patch change, if I'm not wrong. So patch change is made when there are some bugs that been fixed. For example, if npm fixed some bug, okay, and let's say npm released 11.9.4, in that case we can switch to this version. It is not going to break our code, but it is going to fix few things. So these are the different changes that made to the version. So if you have a npm package, then there will be two fields that are important. One is the name field and another is the version field. Name field represent the name of your package, and version field represent the version of your package, and all the other parameter in that package.jsn file are optional. So that's all about the introduction to npm packages. This segment is about setting up the environment, and to set up the environment we will use Node Package Manager. We know that npm, with the help of npm, we can create a very simple package with bunch of information. So we will do that in a moment, and then we are going to add TypeScript and React package. Then we will understand different type of dependencies. When we are working with npm package, we have different type of dependency, like normal dependency, which is required in production, okay, and we have dev dependency. For example, we are going to install this React, this TypeScript and React as dev dependency. Why we are going to do that? Because let's say if we are writing TypeScript in our project, this TypeScript will be transpiled into JavaScript, and this JavaScript then published to the npm repository on that website npmjs.com. okay, so in this case this TypeScript is only used in development, right? We are not, publishing this TypeScript to this website, right? So this TypeScript is used in development. In that case, we are going to install this TypeScript as dev dependency. Similarly, React, and we also have a peer dependency. For example, if let's say this is some user who is using your project, and this user also have like React installed in his project, and your project is also, your package is also using React. In that case, it is not going to install React multiple times. For example, because React is already installed, so that React will not be installed. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that peer dependency help with. And finally, we will understand how we can create a custom TypeScript configuration file. So TypeScript configuration file, with the help of this configuration file, we can define some rules like how our TypeScript is going to behave and how it is going to compile to JavaScript, in which version it is going to compile to JavaScript, and what syntax would be used for importing and exporting modules. Alright, so this is the kind of thing which we are going to do now. So very first step is obviously to create a simple npm package. So inside the folder, let's say inside projects, I'm going to open this projects in command prompt. Here let's create a very simple directory. So let's do that. React component library. Let's navigate to this directory. Here what I would like to do is to initialize a very simple npm package with the help of npm. Alright, so we know that in order to do that, we need to use this command npm init. This command init is going to help us initialize a simple package. Okay, so let's do that. Npm followed by init. Now it will ask us few questions. So what would be the name of project? So we are going to use this default name and the version. Here we can give a small description like this is a this is a React component library with minimal setup. And obviously right now we are not going to use any command, and we can obviously add the git repository where it will be hosted. For example, if we created a package which is solving some sort of problem, what we would like to do is to add that repository to so that other people can contribute to that. Obviously the URL would be like this. First we have this GitHub domain name followed by username followed by the name of the repository. Okay, so let's add that link, github.com, then username, which is howdevu, and finally the name of the repository. So let's use same name, React component library. And obviously we can add few keywords going to help us rank our repository. So we can add keywords like React, TypeScript, React component library, and finally the name of the author. We can choose a license as well. Yeah, I'm okay with all this information. Now let's open this in VS Code. For that, type code dot. Here, as you can see, we have this simple package.jsn file, and few things are added for us. For example, this repository added for us. There are things like bugs, which is going to help developer to post some sort of issues if they want to work on something and there is some issue they want to resolve, or there is something they want to work on. Okay, so we have initialized a very simple npm repository. So we are done with very first step. Second step is to add the TypeScript and React in our project. So we are going to download these two packages. And to download these packages, we know that which command we are going to use. Npm install TypeScript React. Also, I'm going to install types React. So this package provide type definition for React, and TypeScript enable all those rules of type checking. And I would like to install them as dev dependency. So save dev. Alright, so all these packages are added. Let's check. So in dev dependency, all these packages are added. So next I told you like we are going to understand different type of dependency. Right now all these dependency are installed as dev dependency, and I already told you about that. So what are dev dependency? Alright, so we are done with all these 4 steps. In next step, what I would like to do is to create a very simple React component, and in further chapters we will see how that component is compiled and shared with community. This segment is about creating and testing React component. We will create our first React component and we will write our first test. In previous segment, we were talking about NPM, like how we can create very first NPM module. In last section, I'm supposed to tell you about custom TypeScript configuration file. So let's understand that now. Alright, so you all know that whatever TypeScript project you use, you also need to define tsconfig file for all those rules that been applied to TypeScript. Okay, so in order to do that, what you can do, you can create a file manually called tsconfig.jsn. Here you can create a JSN object. Here you can add compiler options and all that stuff. But what I would like to do instead is to use TypeScript compiler. I will use TypeScript compiler to initialize a default configuration file. Then I'm going to apply my own rules. Let me just delete this file. What I'm going to do now is to use this command npx tsc, this init flag, so that I can initialize a very simple file. You'll see a tsconfig file is created with these default rules. So let's understand these rules quickly. Target represents the version of JavaScript which this TypeScript code will be compiled into, and this module tells like what kind of module system will be used. Here it is mentioned CommonJs, so CommonJs syntax will be used, but we are going to use ES next. So next option is strict. As its name suggests, it is going to apply some strict rule of TypeScript. Next option is module intro. Interpolation is a concept of sharing code between different type of modules. And next option is skip lib check. If this option is equal to true, then no type checking rule will be applied to those definition file which are created along with TypeScript code. The last option, which is force consistent casing in file name. So let me tell you what this option is. So let's say you created a file user.tsx, and let's say in second file main.tsx, you are importing a function from this file. Let's say you imported a function f1 from this file user.tsx. Now in this case, if you change the casing of this file, here it is defined in small letter. If you change its casing, then TypeScript is going to throw some error, and it's a really nice rule, right? If someone else is contributing to my project, I'm applying certain rules so that there are some convention that been followed. These 5 were default option. And these are the option I have added. So there are some really nice thing I have added, like this output directory tells like what would be the output directory used for that output JavaScript code. And we have things like declaration. If declaration is equal to true, then declaration file will be created. And there are options like no unused local. If you define a local variable, let's say you defined a variable a and this variable is not used inside the program, in that case TypeScript is going to throw some error. And we have things like no unused parameter. Let's say you define a function and this function has 2 parameter x and y, and let's say y is not used inside the scope of this function, then TypeScript is going to throw some error. So you can understand all these rules by their name as well. For example, this remove comment is going to remove all the comments from TypeScript code when it is compiled into JavaScript. So that's cool, isn't it? And there are some options, like there is one option I would like to talk about, which is a module resolution. So let me tell you what it is. Whenever, let's say there are 2 files, a.tsx and there is another file b.tsx. Let's say you export some function f1 from this file and you import this function in the second file. Now TypeScript has no idea how this import export work, like how this code of function f1 is added to this file. This is the job of the environment. So right now we are going to use Node.js as environment. Node.js will handle all this stuff. These were a few options. So now I'm going to copy this code and I will replace that code. We are done with the very first step. We successfully created a file with our own rule. Next step is very easy, next step we are going to create our first React component. We will create very simple component. Okay, we are not focusing too much on style and everything. All right, so let's create a very first component, which is button.tsx, and let's create a very simple functional component. Here we are going to return, so this functional component going to return button component. If we are using JSX syntax, then we obviously need to import React as well. And let's just export this component. Alright, so this step was very easy. We successfully created a very simple button component. In next step, what I would like to do is to add test for that component, so that we can ensure that if someone else is making changes to our code, then there are some tests that are going to run, and all those tests should be passed. In order to test our React component, we are going to use Jest, okay? And there are some other library like Mocha and Chai, but we are not going to use that. So Jest is used for testing in JavaScript, but right now we are using TypeScript, so we need some additional packages like TS Jest. This package is going to transform TSX code into TypeScript, and along with TS Jest we need TS node so that we can directly run that TypeScript, and we are going to use our custom environment. So when we are using Jest, it by default use Node.js environment to run that code, but we are going to use our custom environment. So let's install few packages. So let's install these packages. npm install Jest. We need TS Jest. We also need TS node, and let's install our environment for Jest, which is Jest environment JSDOM, and let's save them as dev dependency because we are using them in development, not in production. Once these packages are installed, check in package.jsn file. Alright, so everything is installed properly. Now we need to create one more file for Jest. So let's understand that file. So we are going to create a file called jest.config.ts. Like we created this file, this configuration file for TypeScript. We also need to create a configuration file for Jest so that we can add all these rules like which environment is used and what is used, which package is used to transform this TSX code. Alright, so let's just copy this code. Here I'm going to create one more file which is jest.config.ts, and I will just paste this code here. And here we also need to add a test environment. Test environment will be JSDOM. We just installed that. So, we created Jest config file. Now let's add our first script to run that test. So inside scripts we are going to add our first test. Jest will be used, okay, and we also need to provide like which configuration file is used. For that we are going to use this flag config and then name of the file, which is jest config.ts. you can name it anything, okay, then you need to specify that name here. Let's save these changes. Here let's just add some text as well. Alright, so we successfully added Jest. Now we need to create a test. Right now I'm using the same directory. Then we can create a specific directory for test. So let's just add another file which is button.test.tsx. In order to test React component, we need two more modules. Very first module is this testing library React, and second package is the Jest globals. Alright, these packages are installed. Now let's import that React component we just created, and next a function render from this library, testing library React, so that we can render that React component in that JSDOM environment. And next thing we are going to import is a test. So this test function is going to help us create our first test. And okay, so let's create our first test. If you hover over this test, you'll see it expects 3 arguments and 2 arguments are like mandatory to pass. So very first argument is the name of the test. Let's say testing button component. And second argument is a function. In this function, we are going to render our React component. So let's use this render function. Here we are going to render this button component. Because I'm using JSX syntax, I also need to include React library. All right, we are all set here. Now what we can do, we can run our first test. Okay, so let's do that and let's see if everything works fine. In package.json file, we added that command for testing, which is test command. So let's run that command, npm run test, and here input file is button.test.tsx. When I hit enter, you see Jest is running in background and our button is rendered inside a JSDOM environment. Okay, so our first test is passed. As you can see, our first test is passed. So first we created our own configuration file with our own rules. Then we created very first React component, and finally we added test in our code. So far we haven't done anything special. We just created a React component, then we added test for that component. Now in this video, what I would like to do is to make this package more valuable by adding things like conventional commit. And in later segment of this video, you'll see how this TypeScript compiler is used to compile that code. So in later part of this segment, we will build this project so that we can publish it to npm. Alright, so we are going to create two separate builds, one for CommonJs module and second for ECMAScript module. Alright, so first let's understand what are conventional commit messages. So in last video I published on my YouTube channel, I talked about conventional commit messages in great detail. Okay, so conventional commit messages are special type of commit messages where we use this type of syntax where we have three header. This first header represent type header. This type header specify like what kind of commit message is made. For example, let's say there are some bugs that been fixed. In that case, fix header is used. And along with this, let me show you few more example. Here three headers are used. Very first header is type, second header is optional header where we specify the type of file that been changed, and last header is a brief summary about commit message. So all in all, we can say conventional commit has this syntax. First we add type, then optional value. We can avoid this value, then colon, and then brief message about commit. So this is how conventional commit message is created. And in order to enforce this syntax, we need to use this package called commitlint config conventional. And along with this package, we are going to use commitlint CLI so that we can execute this inside CLI. So let's install these two packages. Here first I'm going to install this, then commitlint CLI, save them as step dependency. Once this step is done, next we are going to create a configuration file, and as you can see, this package is used inside this configuration file. So let's copy this code as well, and here we are going to create one more file called commitlint.config.ts, and let's just paste this code here. We are done with this step. Next, what we are going to do, we are going to use Husky to enforce all these rules. So let's discuss what Husky does. Husky is used to manage Git hooks. Git hooks are events that execute whenever there are some changes to Git repository. For example, let's say you made some changes to few files and then you are trying to commit those changes. When you're trying to commit those changes, there are two hooks that are going to execute. Very first is pre-commit hook and second is post-commit hook. Pre-commit exists before commit message, and post-commit, as its name suggests, exists after commit message. During pre-commit hook, what we can do, we can tell Husky to execute commitlint. So let's install Husky, npm install Husky as step dependency. After installing Husky, we are going to initiate Husky with this command npx husky init. It is going to create a folder called .husky, and inside this folder we can create commit message file where we can specify where we can tell Husky to execute commitlint. So we are going to use that code for that. Alright, so let's copy this code, and here first we need to activate Husky, npx husky init. Now you can observe in this project directory a .husky folder will be created. Okay, so first we need to initialize a Git repository, right? Git init. Now we can run that command. You'll see a .husky folder is created. Inside this folder, let's create a file called commit message. Here, just paste that code. And along with this code, we also need to add this code so that it runs fine and we don't need any test. All the steps are done. Let's check if everything is working fine. So first we are going to add these files. So let's check the status. These files needs to be added. So let's add all these files. Now if we try to add a simple commit message, we are likely to get an error. Let's do that. Added commitlint Husky. When I try to run this commit message, I'm likely to get an error. You'll see this commit message is not done. So we need to use conventional commit message. Now in that case, first let's use this header feat. Feat means new feature is added, and then a brief message. So we are avoiding that optional header. Added Husky and commitlint. Now it should work fine. You'll see all these changes are added. So let's check that commit git log. You'll see our very first commit is created. Now in next step, what I would like to do is to build this project, and I already talked about that. In order to build that project, we are going to use this TypeScript compiler, and we are going to create two separate commits. Okay, so by default it is producing ECMAScript code, but most of the modules that exist on NPM are written in CommonJs. So obviously we need to create this CommonJs build as well. In package.jsn file in scripts, first let's add a build command for ECMAScript. So build ESM, and here we just use tsc. By default it is compiling to ECMAScript. And second script we are going to create is for CommonJs, and here obviously we are going to use TypeScript compiler, but this time module is equal to CommonJs, and output directory would be dist cjs. By default output directory is dist esm for ECMAScript. Alright, so we are going to execute these two commands with this command build, and let's add these two commands. First we are going to run this ECMAScript command, so npm run build esm, and then we are going to run that second command, npm run build cjs. Alright, so we are all done with this. Now let's try to execute build command, npm run build. When I execute this command, you'll see a dist folder is created with two compilation target. As you can see, dist folder is created, and in this dist folder there are two compilation target. There is one problem. Along with this main component, there are other files that are also compiled. We don't want that because this test file is only used inside development. Okay, we don't want to publish it on npm. Now in that case, what we can do, we can add more rules inside this TypeScript configuration file. So here what we are going to do, we are going to create a folder called src. Inside src folder, let's create one more folder called components. Inside components, we can add these two. Alright, so after adding these two code, we are going to define one rule inside this TypeScript configuration file. So here we only want to compile TypeScript file which exists inside source folder. For that, use this include. Here we can add a list of all the folder that contains TypeScript file. Also, I don't want to compile any TypeScript file that ends with .test.tsx. For that, let's use this. So here we can exclude, in source folder we can exclude any TypeScript file that end with .test.tsx. Alright, so let's run that build command again. First let me delete this folder. npm run build. Now you will observe something different. Only button component is compiled, which we want because we only want to publish this distribution code that contain button component. yeah, so we are done with both the steps. Okay, so we can also stage these changes. Okay, so let's add the changes. This time we can add something like chore. Chore is used whenever there is change in non-application code. For example, there is something that been changed inside package.json file. So we can mention this file as well. Created builds for ESM and CJS. We are done with this segment. We successfully understood what are conventional commit messages and how to build two compilation target for two modules, CommonJs and ECMAScript module. Before we publish our package to NPM, first we are going to test that unpublished package locally so that we can ensure everything is working fine. Also, we are going to make few changes to project. For example, we are going to add this license so that any user can copy or modify our code. Then we are going to add a package to remove previous build. If you remember, I used this build script to create a dist folder which contains JavaScript file. Alright, so imagine I want to run this build script again. In that case, I want to delete this previous version. In order to do that, I can use this package called rimref. Why I'm using this package? Because right now I have no idea like which operating system you are using. So this is platform independent. So that's why I'm using this package. In third step, we are going to define few entry points in our package.json file. So we are going to add a few fields for, we have two compilation target, right? One is CommonJs, another is ECMAScript. So we want to give user freedom to choose between any of those modules. So let's start with very first step. So let's create a file called license. Here we can add code for MIT license. So let's do that. So this is a simple code for MIT license, and obviously we can customize it. So let's add the year, and also we can add author name. Alright, so next step is to install that rimref package so that we can delete this build, this dist folder. Okay, so install rimref, and in package.json file, let's add a script dedicated to cleaning that dist folder. Rimref package is used and input folder is dist. And in build, before we run build, we will execute this script. npm run clean. Alright, now let's try to build our project. npm run build. You'll observe first this dist folder will be deleted and a new version of this dist folder is created. Alright, we are done with these three steps. In last step, we are going to test our package locally. How we can do that? In order to do that, npm provide this command npm link. npm link is going to create a sim link. Sim link stands for symbolic link. So let's understand that how it is going to work. So inside our package, let's say this is our package with all these files. We are going to execute this command npm link. So this command first look for package.json file. Inside package.json file, it is going to look for name field and it is going to create a sim link for our package. For example, so this is our package. This is name of our package. So let's try to execute that command npm link. You'll see a sim link is created, and how we can test our package. For that, we are going to use another project. Okay, so I'm going to use Next.js to check if this component working fine. In Next.js, I'm going to execute this command npm link, the name of that package. Alright, so let's do that. Inside project folder, let's open it in command prompt. Here, use this command npx create next app latest. It will fetch a simple template for us. So give it a name, let's say test button component with default setting. Once basic project dependencies are installed, we can open this project inside VS Code. So let's navigate to test button component and let's open it in VS Code. So this is a very simple template for our Next.js project. So inside app, first let me remove this default HTML. Here we are going to test our component. So let's say testing button component. And let's try to link that package. Here we can use this command npm link and then the name of the package, React component library. Here npm is going to install this package. Alright, so let's check if it is installed. So inside node modules, you'll see this is installed. So here we can test our button component if it is working fine. So let's import button component from our package. And we can add that here. Okay, so there is one problem. We forgot to add that type declaration file. Alright, so we also need to define one more thing here. I mean, we forgot to add, those fields, right? So first let's add main field. In main field, we will add path to the button component, which is CommonJs version. Inside dist, inside CJS, button.js. Second field is module. Here we will add ECMAScript version. And also let's define type field. Here we can add a declaration file for that button. As you can see inside dist folder, inside ESM, you'll see button.d.ts. Alright, so first let's unlink our project. React TypeScript component. So first we are going to unlink it. Now let's link it again. Alright, so inside Next.js, we have to run that command again. Now you'll see that error is gone. Finally, we can run our Next.js project. Alright, so our server is running on localhost 3000. Let's see if everything is working fine. Alright, so as you can see, this button component is working fine. Okay, so this but right now like I haven't created any advanced component. Okay, I'm just trying to give you one example. So this button component is successfully added in this test folder. That means everything is working fine. So in this step we have seen all these things, like we have added package, we have also used that remref package to remove that previous build, and now you understand that how important these entry fields are. They give user a choice to choose between CommonJs or ECMAScript. And finally we used npm link to test our project. Now only step left is to publish our repository on npm, and we can do that with the help of a very simple command called npm publish, but we are not going to execute it. First we have to understand few things. Now this is the last segment of this video, and we came a long way, right? I really don't want anything to goes wrong. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to run few tests before we publish our package to npm. So first we are going to check whether we are logged in or not. Then we are going to add which file should be there on npm. Then we are going to search for package name. we will see if the name we are using is already exist. In that case, we had to make few adjustment. And finally, we are going to publish our package. So let's start with very first thing. If you are not logged in into npm, you can run this command npm login, and it is going to generate a webhook request. As you can see, when you enter, it is going to generate a webhook request. So if I enter here, you'll see a tab is open. We have to add the OTP which is sent on our email, but I already logged into npm, so I can check that status by using this command npm who am I. When I run this command, you'll see my username is displayed. That means I'm already logged in. All right, so our next step is to see which file will be added on npm. For that, we need to make few adjustment in our package.jsn file. By default, npm adds package.jsn license, and if there is a readme file, so and by default these files are added. And if you want to specify some other file, like this dist folder is used on production, then we can specify that as well. So here in files, we can specify this dist folder. Now, before publishing, what I want to do is to run this command npm publish dry run. What this command will do, this command will tell you like which file will be uploaded on npm. So when I run this command, I'm getting some error. I think I'm using wrong command. It should be this dry run flag. I mean, we write it like this: npm publish try run. When I hit enter, you'll see total 6 file will be uploaded on npm. So 4 files are inside dist folder. As you can see, four files are inside dist folder, and 2 files are package.jsn and license. And if there is a readme file, that will also be added. Next step is to check if we can use that name here in name field. Now to check that, we can run this command npm search, then name of the package. When I try to run this command, you'll see I can't use this package because this package name is already taken. Instead, what I can do, I can use scope in front of this package name. Scope means I can add my username. Okay, so my username was Sumit00001. Now if I try to run that same command again, you'll see, oops. Now if I try to run that same command again, right now our package is this. You will see no match found for this name, so we can use that name. And last step is to publish this package to npm. I hope everything worked fine. So let's run this last command npm publish. Okay, so we are getting this error. I'm getting one error. I'm getting this error: you must sign up for private package. The reason I'm getting this error, because I'm using this pack. I mean, after scope, I'm using this package name, and this package already exists. In that case, if even if I edit scope, I had to use one more flag along with this, which is npm publish access equal to public. I think it should work now. Now our package is published, so let's check it on npm. So inside packages, you'll see one package is added. So let's go to the package. As you can see, our package is successfully published on npm. Let's open it. As you can see, this GitHub repo link is added from package.jsn file, and let's check the the code of this repository. Only this dist folder is uploaded on npm, and that's what we want, right? And obviously we can use this package. Okay, so we can install this package inside any project we want. For example, let's use that that test folder we were using previously. Here we can install that package, npm install. Once this is installed, instead of using this local package which we were using previously, we can use our own package. So we can say import button from, as you can see, it is already suggesting this button. Okay, that's cool, isn't it? So I'm typing this import button and it is already suggesting our package. That's cool, isn't it? And let's run this again. Actually, it's already running. So let's check here. Refresh this page. You'll see our button component is displayed successfully. Now you might be thinking like, why I'm not using some advanced component, we are creating this library. But the reason I'm not using that, because it's up to you, right? I don't know what you want from that component library. I just give you one guide, like what steps you can follow to achieve this process of publishing your package on npm. All right, so we are done with all steps. If you think like this video is providing you some value, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel.